Hey there, welcome to this festive, gentle yoga practice. We will take a little time to get centered. We'll do some gentle movement, spend some time on the neck and shoulders, hips and lower body, do a little bit of balance work, and of course, have a nice shavasana at the end. As far as tools to support you in your practice today, you might like to have something like a bolster. You could also use a couple pillows in place of a bolster. You might like to have a strap or a towel, something to hold between your hands. Certainly not required. And then if you've got a couple yoga blocks, those might come in handy as well. But again, you can always make do with whatever you have. As you're ready, go ahead and find a comfortable enough position for some centering. You could certainly be seated upright as I am. You might like to, excuse me, sit in a chair or lie down or lean up against a wall or piece of furniture. Whatever you need to do where your body isn't yelling at you. You can have your eyes open or closed or anywhere in between, and that goes for the entire duration of the practice. However, you've chosen to arrange yourself, see if your spine can get a little longer, maybe increasing the distance between the tip of the tailbone and the base of your skull. Relax your face, your shoulders, your belly a little bit, your hands. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Two more just like that. And we'll inhale for the Om. Om. Give yourself a few moments here to fully step out of the momentum of whatever your day or evening, week, month have held for you and step into a slower pace, into a quieter place. That may be easier said than done. That's okay. I like to think of this process as inviting my mind to join my body, feeling the breath moving in and out, noticing where I may be holding tension, where there is effort, where there are places that are soft. And that applies to our bodies and to our minds as well. And then if you'd like a moment to set an offering or intention or say a personal prayer for your practice, go right ahead. We'll start our movement up at the top of the spine. I'm going to do this from an upright position. If you prefer to be lying down, feel free to do that and just modify the movements to suit you. Deep breath in, base of the skull moving away from the shoulders. As you exhale, let's gently pull the chin toward the chest. Now, if you're lying down, you certainly don't need to bring your head up off the floor. Maybe just find a little bit of a stretch in the back of the neck. So let the shoulders be heavy down away from the ears. Relax your face and eyes. Maybe an exhale out the mouth here. And keeping the chin tucked, maybe you start to find a little bit of twisting movement as though you could drift your chin in the direction of one collarbone through the center of your chest into the other collarbone. Maybe you'd like to let that transition into some side bending, letting one ear drift towards the same side shoulder, rolling back down through center, and then going to the other side. Take your time here. If you feel inclined to go ahead and move into some head and neck circles, you could do that. But if you're inclined to have a smaller range of motion, or even to pause at a particularly stiff or tight place and just breathe, that's fine as well. And let's bring the head back up over the shoulders. And let's start to move the shoulders in some circles. Doesn't matter which direction, we'll go both ways. And go ahead and switch direction. And shake your shoulders out a little bit. Let's make our way down the spine into some side bending. So inhale, lift the ribs up out of the hips. Maybe lift your arms up overhead. Let's exhale over to the right, letting the hand come down. Drop that right elbow and shoulder, but anchor the left hip down. You could let this be a static pose, reaching long through the left side, letting your head go maybe. Maybe you'd like to move, folding and opening. You can move at your left shoulder, left elbow, wrist, your left fingers. And of course, you could move at the neck as well. Good. Let's come back up through center and go over to the left hand, elbow, shoulder dropping, right hip anchoring. And maybe finding some movement through the right arm. If the range of motion isn't there to lift that right arm up above the shoulder, that's fine. Your right hand could rest. You could let it be a static pose. You could take some movement at the head. You could twist a little bit through the chest. And then let's move a little bit side to side. The range of motion is completely up to you, how big you move. Let's inhale up through center, exhale to the right, inhale up through center, exhale to the left. We'll do that a couple more rounds. You can go as slowly as you like. You could abandon this movement entirely and find a more still place if you prefer. And then the next time you come up through center, let your arms come down if they were lifted. And let's move the upper body in some circles. Range of motion, pace of movement, direction of movement, completely up to you. Good. Coming back up through center. We'll let this go, moving over onto something like hands and knees. So it could be hands and knees. Maybe your joints would appreciate a little padding underneath the knees, maybe rolling up a towel or blanket, or even doubling up your mat a little bit underneath your knees. If bearing weight on the palms is uncomfortable for your wrists, maybe you'd prefer to bring a couple blocks underneath your elbows instead. And if being in this position, this orientation is completely intolerable, that's okay. Come on your back and find a reverse tabletop position with your knees over your hips and maybe extending your arms towards the ceiling. If you're in this quadruped position with me, we'll start to find some cat cow. Exhaling into the cat, inhaling into the cow. If you are on your back, you might hug your knees in and then let your feet come down, maybe reaching your arms overhead, just finding some movement in whatever position works for you. Good. Let's find a neutral spine and we'll curl the toes under, slide that left leg back, toes tucked under, and maybe rock a little bit forward and back, stretching out the calf, the underside of the foot, and the toes. If you wanted to add a side bend here, you could pick up that left foot, bring it behind you to your right side. Make sure we're not letting the tailbone reach way up to the ceiling here. That can be a bit much for the low back. Maybe a little glute engagement to find a neutral spine again. Shoulders pull away from ears, and then you can look over your right shoulder, finding a side bend, stretch in that left side. And then coming back through center, maybe a cat-cow between sides. And then to go the other direction, we'll slide that right leg back, toes tucked under, maybe finding some rocking movement. And then to add in the side bend, make sure we've got a little glute, a little belly engagement to keep a neutral spine. Right foot comes behind you over to the left. Shoulders pull towards the hips, and we look over the left shoulder. Breathing into your right waist, which is getting a little bit longer in this position. Good. Let's let that go. Let's come off the wrists and hands. Take your knees as wide as you like. You might come on your forearms and let your head hang. You might let your hips shift in the direction of your heels, finding something like a child's pose. You could rest your forehead on a block, or if it comes to the mat comfortably, that's fine too. You might like to move your wrists and fingers here a little bit, get some blood flow back into those joints. You might like to exhale out the mouth here. Let's make our way onto the belly. And if coming flat on your stomach is uncomfortable for your low back, you might bring a rolled up towel or a small pillow underneath your hips. Sometimes that can help with that. Let's make a pillow with our hands, stacking one over the other, resting your forehead there. You can have toes curled under or untucked, whatever you like. Try to let your armpits be heavy down to the mat. Take a few breaths here, simply breathing your body into the mat. If you feel like there is some energy that needs to move through your body via movement of your body, you could wag your heels a little bit. You could pick up your feet and move the lower legs around through space. Go slowly with this. It can pull on the low back a little bit sometimes. And then if the feet are lifted, we'll let them come back down. Take a few more breaths here on the belly. If you're inclined to move into a Sphinx pose, you want to lift your upper body, you could come on your forearms. Otherwise, you could stay resting on the belly, doing a few more rounds of the belly breathing. If you've opted to lift the upper body, you have space to move. You're welcome to explore that space or not. And then let's all take our time slowly making our way to Uttanasana, a standing forward fold. Maybe you'd like to come through hands and knees. Maybe you'd like to come through a downward facing dog, curling the toes under, lifting the hips and sinking the chest. Maybe you just find your way to standing and then fold some amount at the hips. Whatever works for you right now today, meeting in some sort of position where the feet are on the mat and there's a bend at the waist. That could be hands at the wall or a piece of furniture, could be elbows or hands on bent knees. If it works for you to let your head go, I invite you to explore that. You could move a little bit here if you like, at the knees and ankles, at the hips, the shoulders, the head. And then let's slowly start to make our way up to standing. Once you're upright, if you would like to lift your arms, go ahead and lift your arms. Let's take a deep breath in, push your feet down, lift your ribs up, and exhale. Bring hands to heart center, shoulders softening back and down, gently pressing down through your heels, lifting up through the base of your skull. Good. Inhale. Lift the ribs, lift the arms. If you like, go ahead and find whatever kind of upright movement suits you for just a few breaths. Arms overhead is fine. Arms extended or arms down beside or behind you. All of those are fine options as well. And then as you're ready, we'll bend the knees, folding forward once more. Finding that Uttanasana, doesn't matter how deep of an Uttanasana it is. And then we'll transition into a lunge, right foot forward, left foot back. If a low lunge does not work for you, hands at a wall or waist high surface and step that left foot back. And you could be right here and do everything we're going to do through a more upright position. Otherwise, bend the knees until the hands come down and step the left foot back, or otherwise, make your way into a low lunge, right foot forward. If that heel is popping up on the right side, just scooch your foot a little further forward so it can anchor down and be a stable source of support, especially for that right knee. Now, regardless of the option or variation or modification you've chosen, we've got several breaths here for you to do what you feel like you need or to explore to see what it feels like you need. Across all options, let's soften our shoulders and jaw. You could keep your right knee bent, letting the lunge help stretch into the front of your left hip. You could shift your hips back, letting that right leg get straighter, maybe stretching a little more in the right hamstrings. Maybe what you feel you need, feel, not think, is some movement back and forward, warming and lubricating the joints. Each of these options have their benefits. No one option is inherently better than another. Find what serves you. Let's take about one more full breath cycle here. And then let's meet with hands at the front of the mat and feet at the back. That could look like child's pose, downward facing dog, hands and knees for some cat cow, whatever suits you for 3 or 4 breaths. Let this be a reset between sides. And then at the pace that works for you, in the way that works for you, let's find that lunge on the other side. And so again, that could be down low on the mat. It could be from a standing position. We'll all have our left foot forward and right foot back. Making any adjustments you need, bringing any tools into place to support you. And then we've got time on this side as well for you to see what feels right. I'm not talking as much on this side, so it may seem like we're holding this side longer. We're probably not. About one more full breath cycle here. And then let's make our way again to hands forward, feet back, interpreting in whatever way feels right for you. As much or as little movement as you like in your chosen pose. And we'll turn our attention to the upper body a little bit again. So, from a hands and knees type position, we won't be there long. Let's inhale and lift the left arm up. And then as you exhale, thread that left arm behind the right, like you're trying to reach something under the couch. Left shoulder, left side of the face coming down. Right arm could extend out to the right. It could reach up towards the front of the mat. Whatever feels good for you, relax your feet. See if you can soften the backs of your legs. Maybe exhaling out the mouth here. And then let's come out of that. You might like a cat cow or a down dog in between sides briefly. As you are ready from that hands and knees tight position, we'll inhale, lifting the right arm up. And exhale, thread the right behind the left, right shoulder, right side of the face coming down, left arm, whatever position you prefer. And we'll unwind again, back through to center into your choice of pose, downward facing dog, child's pose, cat, cow. You could rest on your belly for a few breaths. And then in the way that works for you, we'll slowly come towards a standing forward fold once more. Letting your head go if that feels good for you, maybe nodding or shaking your head. Sometimes that can help you find what it really feels like to really let your head go. Relax your tongue, your cheeks, and then we'll begin to make our way upright. You could certainly pause along the way, but you do not have to. And once you're all the way up, you might like to lift your arms up overhead. Let's all take a deep breath in, push the heels down, and then exhale the hands to heart center. Think about ears stacking over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over heels. Feeling your breath moving in and out. Let your breath guide your pace. This is being filmed at a time of year when in the Northern Hemisphere, the natural world is tucking in for a long nap. It's the solstice. What would it feel like to honor that in some way, even just for the next few minutes? That slower, more inward direction and pace. Let's do a little bit of one-legged standing balance. You do not have to stand only on one leg. There'll be plenty of options. Feel free to stand next to something, a piece of furniture or a wall, or tree pose, of course. Let's start by standing on the left foot. We'll let the right knee bend forward so that right heel will come up. Let your right knee drift out to the right. Doesn't matter how far out, everyone's hip joint is slightly different. We want to not let that left hip jut way out though. Think about really pushing that left heel down, find a little left glute engagement. Lift up through the sternum and base of the skull. Now you could keep right toes on the floor, or you could maybe experiment with drifting the sole of the foot to the inner ankle or calf. We just don't want that foot right on the knee joint. And pay attention to that left hip. Sometimes when we slide the foot up, the hip will jut out to try to counterbalance. But we're going to use the leg muscles, the abdominal muscles, glute muscles to counterbalance instead. Find whatever hand arm variation you like. Make sure you're breathing. And then slowly release. Let that go. We'll do the other side, standing on the right foot. Left knee will come forward and then out to the left. This time we want to make sure the right hip isn't jutting out to the right. You could keep toes on the floor or lift the foot, and it might be that one side demands something different than the other. Take your time. Again, this side might feel like a longer hold because I'm going to talk less. Feel your breath. Push your right heel down. Try not to only grip with the toes. One more full breath here in and out, and release, letting that go. Shaking the legs out as needed and finding your way back to your mat if you stepped away from it. On an inhale, lift your ribs, lift the arms if you were so inclined. And as you exhale, let's bend the knees, folding forward any amount, finding one more Uttanasana for today. Feel free to incorporate some movement or not. If your ankles, knees, and hips would enjoy coming into a squat, maybe take your feet out wide and drop the hips down. If any part of your body is not on board with that, don't worry about it. Let's make our way down to a seated position with the legs outstretched in front of us. You could certainly bring a little support underneath your hips, rolled up towel, or maybe a folded blanket, or even a thin pillow. And we'll start here with Paschimottanasana, a seated forward fold. So if you have longer legs, shorter arms, tighter hamstrings or low back, and you have a strap to catch around the soles of the feet, you're welcome to use that. But think about the strap being just an extension of your arms, not something to yank against. If you're not using a strap, that's completely fine as well. Let's still put those feet on an imaginary floor. We'll inhale tall. Exhale, think about the chest moving forward. So we're hinging right at the hips, not rounding, not hinging from the mid back, hinging at the hips. And then whenever you find as far as the pose is going to go today, or for now, you can just let your hands rest where they land if you're not holding onto a strap. You might like to tuck your chin towards your chest. Sometimes that can give us that sense of softening into a pose without rounding through the upper back. And then let's walk the hands in to lift the upper body. So the left leg is extended long, left foot still on that imaginary floor. We'll bend the right knee, placing the right foot somewhere along the inside of the left leg. You could certainly bring some support underneath the right knee as well. Let's inhale tall, exhale, hinging forward at the hips, letting the hands rest wherever they land, maybe tucking your chin in towards your chest, maybe exhaling out the mouth here. And then we'll walk the hands in to lift the upper body. Let's keep that right knee bent, but this time we'll place the foot flat on the mat. It's your choice whether the right foot is in line with the right hip or outside your left knee, just depending on how the pose feels for you. We do want to have that right hip anchored down, though. We don't want the right hip rolling over to the left. Regardless, we'll take the right hand, bring it back beside or maybe behind you. Some downward pressure in that right hand can help lengthen the spine upward. Left hand could catch the outside of the right knee, maybe pulling that right shoulder back and looking to your right. Breathe as deeply into your belly as you can here. And then release to unwind. Let's let the right leg come long. We'll do both those poses on the other side. So bend your left knee. Left foot comes somewhere along the inside of the right leg. And feel free to bring some support underneath the left knee as well. Right foot stays on that imaginary floor. Inhale tall, exhale, hinging forward. Try not to round through the mid and upper back, hinging instead at the hips, shoulders sliding away from ears, maybe chin pulling into chest. Maybe exhaling out the mouth. And then let's lift the upper body once more, placing that left foot flat on the mat. Again, either in line with your left hip, or if that left hip can stay anchored comfortably, you could put your left foot outside your right knee. Left hand beside you or behind you, bracing the spine nice and tall. Right hand could catch the outside of the left knee. And then we'll look to the left, maybe over your left shoulder. You could pull that left shoulder back, breathing deeply into your belly here. You will be somewhat restricted in how deep into your belly you can breathe. We're constricting the belly with the twist. That's okay. And release, letting that go. Let that left leg come long. Shake the legs out, and then we'll bend both knees. So, soles of the feet coming together. Does not matter whether your heels are close to your hips or farther away. Deep breath in. Exhale, hinge forward once more. Maybe tucking your chin in towards your chest. Feel free if this is comfortable for you and your low back is feeling okay to incorporate a little side to side shifting here. And then we'll let that go, lifting the upper body, release the legs. Let's make our way into a seated position of your choice for just a little bit of upper body and shoulder movement. Cross-legged is fine, sitting on something is fine. Make sure you've got a little space behind you. If the hips are amenable and your body sort of craves that pigeon type stretch, external rotation, you could experiment. I have to pop my knee first with a box pose, stacking left shin on top of right. And then we'll find some sort of eagle-ish arms. That could look like, excuse me, that could look like extending your right arm out and bringing it across your chest over towards the left side. You could use your left hand to gently pull it in, thinking about pulling that right shoulder blade away from the spine, but not twisting the entire upper body. Next option would be bear hug yourself, right arm on top. Maybe creep crawling your fingertips towards your shoulder blades. Next option would be eagle arms, right arm on top. Find what works for you on this side. Across all options, we've got ears stacked over shoulders, shoulders over hips, and shoulders down. And across all options, you have the option to incorporate some movement in the head and jaw. Just go slow. Pardon my cough. And then we'll let that go, unwind, move your shoulders. We'll counter stretch across the chest a little bit here. Hands can come beside you or behind you, or you could even interlace your fingers behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, send your chest forward. Breathe into your upper chest. Good. Release. We'll do that on the other side. So if you're in that box pose, you could switch so your right shin is on top. And this time, you can either extend your left arm out and bring it across your chest, or give yourself a bear hug, left arm on top, or you could do the eagle arms, left arm on top. We have the chest squared forward, ears over hips, shoulders relaxed. And you could move here at the neck, you could move your jaw. You could also let the only movement be your breath, and that would be fine. And letting that go. Move the shoulders a little bit, and then once again, stretching out through the chest. So hands beside or behind you or interlaced behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Send your chest forward. Maybe lift your chin a little as you breathe into the upper part of your rib cage. And exhale, release. Take that out. From here, you can find your way into a restorative pose of your choice. So that might be a legs up the wall or some other vertical surface. You could do legs over a couch with your lower legs resting on the seat of the couch or chair. If you prefer not to have the legs up or you don't have any kind of surface that works for you, you could instead do a supported bridge pose where you would come lying on the back, bring something like a block or a bolster or a couple pillows underneath your hips, down close to your tailbone, so your hips can tilt backwards and allow for some release through the low back. If you are moving into a legs up position, your hips certainly don't need to be right up against that vertical surface. And it's certainly fine for your knees to be bent. That can take some of the pull from the hamstrings and or the low back. Let your shoulders relax. Let your eyes sink back in your skull. Hands can rest wherever feels good for you. Maybe you like to rest your hands on your torso. That's a great option if your mind struggles to settle because you can feel your breath moving in and out. So that helps keep you connected in the present. Otherwise, maybe you'd like to release your arms down by your sides or extend them straight out or take the mudra of compassion with the arms in a goalpost shape. Find what feels good for you. And then we'll be here for a couple minutes. Let's take a deep breath in and exhale. Now, if this feels like a place where that you want to spend some more time, you could absolutely stay right here. In fact, if you wanted to stay here for the duration of your practice all the way through Shavasana, that would be fine. Otherwise, you could begin to make your way out of the pose, maybe bending your knees, rolling to one side, and then finding your way onto the back with bent knees, feet flat. And we'll find a reclining twist. So you can have both feet flat on the mat. You could cross right ankle over left knee in a figure four shape. You could stack right knee over left knee. Let's let our knees drift left and head roll right. Find whatever works for you with your arms. Deep breath in. Exhale, get heavy. And then let's come up through center. Once again, you could have both feet down, or you could cross left leg over right in some way. We'll let our knees drift right and head roll left. Deep breath in. Exhale, get heavy. And then we'll come back up through center. Uncrossing the legs if they were crossed. Let's hug both knees in towards the chest. Maybe moving your knees around in some circles, massaging the low back on the mat, on the floor. Maybe you'd like to take a happy baby pose, letting the knees come apart, hands catching the insides of the knees or legs or heels. And then you could rock across your spine here. If you have longer hamstrings, you might experiment with letting one leg get a bit straighter and then alternating. And then we'll let that go, letting either the feet or your entire leg come down to the floor. Find a way to extend your arms, whether that's down beside your legs or straight out to either side or up overhead. Take a deep breath in and make your body as long as you can. And then exhale, release. And let's do that one more time. Deep breath in, make your body long. Exhale, release. And then take a few breaths to do whatever you need or whatever you would like in order to prepare for Shavasana. And once you're situated, we'll take a deep breath in And exhale. Relax your feet. Relax your ankles, legs, hips, and belly. Relax your waist and lower back, middle back, upper back and shoulder blades. Relax your ribs, chest, collarbones, and shoulders. Upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and hands. Relax your fingers. Relax your neck and throat, jaw and tongue, face, eyes, eyelids, eyebrows, and the space between your eyebrows. Relax your forehead and scalp, leaving your body by itself to rest. Slowly begin to find your way back to your breath and to your body. You're, of course, welcome to stay right where you are. Or if you like, you could Take a stretch or roll to one side. Maybe even make your way upright. Completely up to you. Give yourself a few moments here with your breath. And we'll conclude with Om Shanti 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 for peace. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. Om Shanti. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and hope that you find some quiet time in this season of darkness to recharge and nourish yourself. See you next time.